behind my eyelids. I can't rationalize. Next day they awoke, wondering who spoke. It burned inside to be following a man who would take me for a ride. So I singled out the thief that night, questioning his will to fight. But he only shook his head and said, "Give us this day our daily bread." And I am no baker, so I split that very evening. Must have been the day after decided to go underground, but I couldn't believe the laughter when I passed the news around. So I spiked that dinner with the serum of truth, and the waiters tell me it was really uncouth. A hand on my arm, but to my relief, I was shaking hands with my old friend the thief, sharing a drink, even over the brink. Couldn't climb out again. Streets adorned, all out for the answer. Feel successful scorn, diverted by my dancer. Now I'm older, I can bear the pain of having to go through these things again. But misuse of my life hasn't taught me much, except how to secretly use a crutch. All I can say is blow trumpets, blow, blow the walls down. of its bittersweet fruit. Walking with my lover through the dawn. Feel the joy of life so surging. Screaming at each other through the night. All a cute virgin. Dead but for the yearning to live my life as I should and regulate its burning. Jingle jangle after contradicting these flashes that you fill me with my load. This weakness of my values so conflicting.
For as long as you think I should, maybe forever. They say that everything must come to an end. Sooner or later your soul will start to bend in my direction. 'Cause I'll still be around, maybe forever. But there have always been exceptions to the rule. 'Cause now and then there have been some fools who think that they can speak for society, and if one can understand, it doesn't matter that there are three. should whip myself and cut off my hair to feel at ease when I'm on my knees.
Hello, everyone. I'm John, Derek's brother-in-law, and your host this morning. It's nice to have you all here today. I really appreciate that many of you all joined well ahead of time. That really helped us. And we are here to relive the fond memories we all have of Derek. I'd like to start by reading out a message that Derek himself had typed on his phone a while back. I think it best describes his journey. So he wrote, turned professional in 1967, toured the country quite a lot in those days. Played in, of all the places I could have been, Mogadishu, Somalia, for 6 months in 1969. But I stayed over there for most of the year. Now, once back in India, did a pretty long spell in Delhi. Then back to home base, Bombay. Did a few stints with various groups till I connected with Waterfront, the band that forever changed my approach to music. Played a lot before that, but musically going nowhere. Did an unofficial tour of a few countries in Europe in 1973. Nothing planned. We just moved around as circumstances dictated. Great, tough, scary, beautiful, eye-opening, slightly traumatic at times. An experience of a lifetime, and I'd gladly do it all over again. I think, no, I'm sure, this is something every young person should experience. Makes a man of you. The one thing I was absolutely sure about, music was going to be my life. Now, nearly 53 years later, it still is, with the blessings of my wife and daughter. Who can ask for more? So touching and so vividly and beautifully written in Derek's own words. Derek has figured in all of our lives, both as a dear friend and as an accomplished musician. Let's have a walk through his journey with a short video, which will be shared now. Yes, Derek lived an impassioned life indeed, filled with love for his family and friends, as well as his music. I would now like to turn the spotlight on Derek's first cousin, Irene, to speak for a few minutes. Irene, could you please come? Thank you.
I am glad to be given this opportunity to celebrate Derek's life. Thank you, Maria and Daniel. I am Derek's first cousin. His dad and my mom were brother and sister. Cousins are usually the first friends we have as children. No one will understand our family quirks, but we were there for one another during sad and happy times. Weekends were spent in each other's houses. We were so happy playing snakes and ladders, hide and seek, and especially telling each other ghost stories, which he really loved. During our weekends with Derek and his family, we were always taken in the evenings to the Gateway of India near his house to run around and let off some steam. We loved playing with the frisbee, and there we were buying chana from the vendor every time we went. We would be constantly running around, and Derek and my brother and sister and Stuart we were always together playing. Derek was always soft-spoken, kind, and a very gentle person. Never a harsh word. He was always fair in all the games we played. As we entered our teens, we noticed he was always strumming on a guitar. And he played less with us. I would say, come on, I will go home if you don't play with us. And he said, give me 5 minutes. And he would come quickly, and then he would start again with his guitar. I remember our pet dog, Rex, once bit Derek, and I was more upset than him. And I kept kissing his knee and said, but Derek never cried. He says, it doesn't hurt at all while he bled. He never fussed about anything in life. Remembering the times we spent together in our childhood puts a smile on my face and happiness in my heart. As we grew older, got married, and moved away far from each other, we did not see or speak often, but our love and childhood memories will always keep us in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Irene. What a warm sharing. It's so touching to hear about those memories. And I also remember many of those ghost stories, from both sides of the family, Derek's and yours. I think your side was more scary. So anyway, thank you again, Irene. And next, I'd like to invite a close childhood friend of Derek's, Mike Kirby. The association between the Julians and Kirbys dates way back to the mid-50s. Mike's mother, Doris, and Derek's mother, June, were good friends, and the families stayed close by, so they saw a lot of each other. Mike's dad, Joe, even made a guitar for Derek when he was playing with the Mascots. I'd like to call upon Mike to say a few words. Please come, Mike. One thing before Mike starts, everybody please keep their videos on if possible. We'd like to see you all. Thank you. Please continue, Mike.
Okay, thank you, John. Yes, thank you very much for asking me to be part of this celebration of Derek Julian. Derek was a childhood friend. We were family friends and probably saw the Julians 3 or 4 times a week. Both our mothers were good friends, and of course, Leo, Derek's father, and my father and my uncle Percy used to get together most evenings and probably tell all these wartime yarns and stories. Half of them might not have been true, but they got better as the years went by. And Derek, as a youngster with us, it was just so we were just one family. And I know I learned to play the guitar when I was 8. My uncle taught me, and Derek, I think, learned not too long after that. And we'd spend a long time practicing. I note the comment that he was always on his guitar. It was not unbeknown for us to start practicing at about 10 o'clock on a Saturday and go right until 5 or 6 o'clock. You know, absolutely, our neighbors must have been stone deaf by then because we were practicing all the time. But Derek was, as you said, he was a very quiet and humble person. And when it came to his guitar playing, he was what I would term to be an intense guitar player and a gentle guitar player. You get two kinds of guitar players. You get the guitar player like Derek, who is gentle and intense and really gets immersed in his music. And then you get the crazy guitar player, you know, on the other side of it, who's also an interesting thing. And as the years progressed, then one day Derek and Clifford Lee came up and said they wanted to form a group. And so they formed a group called the Mascots. That was Derek, Clifford, Stuart, and Richard Tam. Richard was on drums. Richard didn't know how to play the drums initially. And so that made for an interesting practice session. They'd start the song at one pace. And by the time they finished, it was at a galloping pace. So, but the group was very good. And of course, Derek was the main linchpin. And I know that when we used to practice, and I tell a lot of people to just listen to him, you know, because I think that, you know, he had the talent and he was destined to always improve on this talent. And I know that at that time, instruments were scarce, and Derek and myself, I used to lend him whatever instruments I had. And when the Jets were playing, we did make it a point to say to the promoters that we should have the Mascots along. And then along came the Puppets, of which Fran will remember, and the Mascots were basically a backing group for them. And up until about 1966, it was a very good scene in India. I left then and went to Europe, but I still kept in touch with Derek right up until just not too long before he passed away. And it was just a case of, you know, he was just a very nice person. We met in 2009, and my brother and myself and Derek had a lunch that lasted from 11 o'clock to about 5:30 in the evening. I don't think we ate much, but we certainly enjoyed the old stories. So I think that my thoughts of Derek can be summed up in a few words, in that basically he was a very nice human being. And there aren't too many of those around. And he was a kind person who was always humble. So thank you very much. And I'm pleased to be part of this.
Thank you so much, Mike. It was really delightful to hear about the early days. In fact, I remember once Derek told me that he was very grateful that not only his parents, but also the people around him and his friends gave him a lot of support to pursue his love for music. I can see he grew up amid like-minded folks. And on that note, let's hear a song of his. I wonder how many of you know its name. It's an instrumental track named after a nightclub he used to visit in Mogadishu way back in 1969. A hint was, you all remember that movie, All That Dash? And the second hint is the period during which improvisational music was popular. So these are the two hints. Okay, everyone, let's start. Could you all keep your mobiles handy? Garima will walk you through the procedure for this item. Please remember to remain logged in on your phones till the end of this event, as we'll be having more interactions like this one. Over to you, Garima.
Thank you, John. Hi, everyone. This is Garima, and I'll help you come into this platform. Like you can see on your screen, you'll need two devices. One, your laptop or your iPad to view Zoom and from where the audio will come from, and your mobile or your second device to come to AHA slides. So in case you're already on Zoom from your mobile, that's completely fine. Just get another mobile or another device. So from the browser of your mobile, please type ahaslides.com, like you can see on the screen, AHA without a space. We are also sending the spelling on the chats. If you need any help, let us know on the chats and our team will help you out. So type ahslides.com from your mobile browser. On the top, you'll see this white bar where it asks you to enter a code. Just enter CDJ and click on join. And yeah, that should get you in. I'll repeat again, in case it doesn't work for you, kindly just refresh your tab and it should load. So from your mobile browser, log on to ahslides.com and enter the code on top CDJ and click on join. It will now also ask you to enter your name and join the quiz, and that's when I'll play the audio. Once you hear the audio, you all will get some 30 seconds to answer, and you have to answer from your mobile and submit the answer. So let me just share my screen now. I hope all of you are in. You have to go to ahslides.com, type the code CDJ. And now it will ask you to enter your name and join the quiz. I can see some of you joining. If you need any help, let us know in the chats. I can see Seema, Leo, Elaine, and as soon as we have enough of you, we'll just start. So you will hear the audio from your Zoom and you will get 30 seconds. Once you hear the audio, just type in your answer and click on submit. We have around 25 people here waiting for a few more. In case it's stuck for you, just reload your browser and it should work. John, can you recognize some names here? We see a lot of them.
Yes, so Naila Tuba joined, Rain, Mandar, Joel, Shamit, Aarti Junjunwala, Elaine.
If you all are facing any difficulty, just let us know in chats. I'll repeat again. From your mobile browser, go to ahslides.com. You can see the name on top here. This is ahslides.com. Once you come in, it asks you to enter a code on top. The code is CDJ. So type CDJ and click on join. Then it will ask you to enter your name and join the quiz. And that's all. You can use any browser. It can be just any browser from your mobile or your iPad or any other device. So it could be a Chrome, it could be a UC browser, Mozilla, whatever. Anything works.
So I see 31 people have joined. I think we'll wait for a few more.
Yeah.
And the code is CDJ, celebrating Derek Julian. So just remember to type that. I think we'll wait for a few more and then we'll start the video. If anybody needs help, please remember to type in the chat.
Yeah, we can see some of them coming in.
Yes, I think in about 10 seconds, we'll start.
Sure, yeah. So for those who all are in, and for those who are unable to join, you can always let us know your answers in chats also if this is difficult for you. I'll play the audio here and you'll get 30 seconds. Just type in the name of the song and click on submit. And now I'm moving forward. So this is the audio. John, the results are here for you.
Yes, thank you, Garima. So let me start by giving you the answer to the two hints. The movie, of course, was All That Jazz. That was the first part of the answer. And the era of improvisational music, the period of improvisational music was Jazz era. And that was the song Jazeera, name of a nightclub in Mogadishu, where Derek used to play in 1969. Many of you have got it right. Well done, everybody. Okay, so.
Sorry, just one thing. All don't exit the platform AHA slides. We have a few more interactions coming up. So please be logged in. Over to you, John.
Yeah, thank you, Garima, for that reminder. Now, my next guest was a friend of Derek's since their early teens. She was in Fort Convent, part of the Pop Pets. Nice pun, by the way. Pop Pets. This was way back in 1966-67, when Poppets was the first all-girls singing group in India. Derek, as many of us know, was in the neighboring boys' school, Campion. And his band, the Mascots, often accompanied the Poppets. Over to you, Fran.
Thank you, John. Thanks, everybody. It's so nice to be here. Really appreciate being able to participate in this. Thank you especially to Maria and definitely Danny, who's done all this wonderful work. Wow, it was lovely to hear from you, Mike, and also from Derek's cousin. So around the mid-60s, Derek and Stuart and some of their friends like Sonny and Reggie, as well as the band members of the Mascots, were all a big, huge part of my growing up. And together with my all-girl singing group, the Poppets, and I speak on their behalf as well, the twins, Jackie and Jenny Orton, and Jean Rocha. And we did quite a few gigs together with the Mascots backing us. We had a lot of fun. We used to hang around together all the time. We were either at Derek's home or my home, and played the fool a lot, you know. We used to, as Jackie reminded me, we used to sing this song with him. A story. We used to go to these terrace parties when we were about 15. Lots of terrace parties in Bombay, and there was always lots of music and dancing. And, you know, we always had a great time at those. So one of these parties we went to, without mentioning names, the host of the party tried to make a move on one of us girls. And Derek was immediately very protective of us. He said, "Look here, they're my girls, so lay off." I mean, it almost came to fisticuffs between them. He gathered us together and promptly left. We all left the party. A few days later, the same guy brought some gundas to Apollo Banda to beat up Derek. Fortunately, Derek was able to diffuse the situation. I remember at 15 having a schoolgirl crush on Derek. I mean, mainly because I admired his obvious natural musical talent. And I found out later on my 70th birthday that the feeling was mutual. So we both admired each other's talent, I guess. Derek will always have a place in my heart, and just want him to know I love you, Derek. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fran, for those warm memories and for those vivid colors you painted of Derek. So it was really refreshing to hear those incidents. Thank you so much, Fran. Now, it was in the latter part of the 70s that Ranjit Barot joined Waterfront. He was a dynamic member of the band and is still today a dear friend of our family. Could you have you on, please, Ranjit?
It's hard for me to sort of, find a place to begin, because when I joined Waterfront, I was young. I was, 17, and joining that band and meeting Derek, Roger, Soli affirmed that music was to be the rest of my life. Now, this is important for any young person, because, any one of you who are parents today know that the earlier your child finds a direction and knows what to do with the rest of their lives has a certain stabilizing effect on oneself. And Waterfront was my home. Really, they gave me a home. And Derek was my brother. There's a very symbiotic relationship between the soloist in the band and the drummer, because we would have musical exchanges and conversations every night, every time we played. And we were in simpatico, we were like one person. Because a conversation on stage is somebody starts a sentence and then somebody else finishes it. So you're thinking the same thing, breathing the same air. Derek was also very, very supportive of my endeavors to compose, to start composing. And I would pick up his guitar, and he was never, ever sort of territorial, or he was always very, he said, yeah, pick it up, let me hear what you play. And I would noodle around. I mean, I had some guts, man, to play in front of him. But they made me feel so comfortable, and I felt I belonged. And we wrote a tune together called, I don't know why we called it Calcutta. Maybe because the gig we played in Calcutta was so outlandish. It's one of the most bizarre experiences Waterfront has ever had. But Derek kind of led me through that whole process, and we wrote that song. And it was in a very odd time signature. It was in the time signature of 10.5, which is, but we made it sound very musical. And having worked on that song and having Derek guide me through that process, I found myself auditioning for Louis Banks for this great jazz tour that was happening. And another gentleman, Steve Sequeira was the other drummer that had been called to audition. So my turn came up, and I went in, and what do you know? The song they were auditioning me for was in 10.5. So needless to say, I nailed it. And I think Steve didn't even wait for me to come out. Steve had already left. I mean, it was my gig. What do you say? I mean, I made music my life, and with the blessings of Derek and Roger and Soli, I went from strength to strength and found myself playing with some very, very important musicians in the world, which wouldn't have been possible if it had not been for this band and for these brothers of mine. So Derek was not just my friend and somebody I shared all these moments on stage with. He was one of my mentors. So if I do anything today on stage, I represent him in some way and will continue to do so. So for me, while we mourn his physical passing from this plane, I will never lose Derek. You know, he's sort of a part of me. So I want to give love and blessings to Maria and Danny, and, you know, yeah, I love him. Always did. And always will. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ranjit. It was so touching to hear you speak, and especially since I remember, you know, your show in Pune earlier, a few months before, which Derek and others and I had gone for, and I still remember his words, Ranjit, you know, and it really, it really gets me, man. He was so generous in his feeling towards you. And he said, I always like Ranjit because wherever he goes, his heart is always there. He was especially touched by your loyalty to Waterfront. And I was thinking that it's the generosity of spirit that Waterfront had between them that was the kind of crucible for their music. And that's why it's so touching to hear the music of Waterfront. Derek referred to Waterfront's genre of music as progressive rock. Let's hear a sample of it. Garima, please coordinate with everybody to take this forward. Thank you.
Sure. So we would like to hear from you all. If you had to describe your experience of Derek's music in one word, what would it be? Like last time, please log into ahslights.com from your phone, enter the code CDJ and enter the quiz. And please type in your words from your mobile, click on submit. Some of you have already done that. So John, over to you. You can see the words on the screen.
Okay. So we have experience of Derek's music in one word. Some have put two words, which is fine, which is crowd gathering. Some have three words, full of life, life altering. Very nice words and phrases. Fluid improvisation, breathtaking, complex, ethereal, mesmerizing, passionate, seeking, full of life, enchanting, magical, electrifying, beautiful, beautiful. So nice to hear this. And gripping. So wonderful to hear the feedback from you all. And a few words really gives a nice punch of a synopsis of how you feel. Waterfront actually came into popularity again. And I was thinking about this, and I said, like, okay, for myself, what would the one word be? And after some thought, I mean, they are popular, they are beautiful music. But for me, the word which really stood out is timeless. That would be the one word I'd use to describe their music. It is really timeless. Now, in the last couple of years, I've been very fortunate to have spent a lot of time with Derek. And I really feel that this was a gift to me. Initially, he came for his dental work. And our trips to and from the clinic were spent in his regaling me about the antics of his cats. He adored his cats so much. he kept on talking about, this Chico did this and this Cleo did that. And, like, in fact, the expression that he had and the passion that he had reminded me of his dad, Leo. Earlier this year, Derek and I took a road trip to Goa with a friend of ours, Gautam. I had always got along well with Derek, but it was at times like these when I really feel I truly met him. When we were in Goa, he invited us for a show that he was doing. And at the show, there was a surprise guest artist, Milind Date, who is our next speaker. So let's have Milind, who will say a few words and give us a rendition of his flute. Please come, Milind.
Good morning. I'm not a good speaker or something. I'll just play. But for me, Derek was not only just genius, but kind of my guru, because I got to learn so much from him. He was, for me, he was the greatest soloist I have ever played with, or I ever heard, actually. He would not just play musically. He would somehow manage in the he's playing in that his and that entire thing musical that I think that one of our very popular tunes. We actually started playing together in 2000, and I played last time with him was in this January in Goa. For kids. Derek, this is very soft piece, but sometimes Derek would get into his mood and then he would convert this piece, or change this piece into such energetic piece that nobody would have any daring to play after his solo. I always played safe. I would always take my solo first and let Derek, okay, you do. I cannot play after you. It was just impossible. He was such a great human being. distinctly remember once we were somewhere, I don't know, we were in Hyderabad or Bangalore somewhere, and we were just talking about some family things and this and that. So he simply gave me one of the greatest mantra in family life. He simply said that it's very simple for me, Milind. Whatever I get, my wife and family also should get. As simple as that. It's such a clear vision. Anyway, I can go on talking for endlessly. Pretty much I'm honored you asked me to come here and play a small bit. Thank you.
Milind, I really feel that your words were so eloquent and so well you put them. And your music really took me to a place, a beautiful place that words could never bring me to. So really, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for your sharing and that wonderful rendition on your flute. Now I want to go back nostalgically to the 80s. And this was a few years after we shifted to Pune, where we were joined by a neighbor from Mumbai who became our neighbor here. He and I used to play marbles a lot in our childhood. I mean, needless to say, I always used to win, but let's keep that for some other time. And in adulthood, we graduated to killing rats and chasing snakes that frequented our bungalow. And even the stories of those exploits we'll keep for another day. And this was especially since I didn't acquit myself very favorably. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jahangir Spencer, known fondly to us as JJ, a dear friend of our family. Please come, JJ. JJ, you'll have to unmute. Sorry.
Am I on? Yep.
Thank you.
I said good morning, everyone. And Johnny is known to exaggerate a lot. So I shall take that with a pinch of salt. I can still kill a rat better than he can. Or play marbles better than he can. So when I shifted from Bombay to the boondocks called Vimannagar in 1985, I wouldn't in my wildest dreams have imagined that I would be neighbors with two of India's greatest musicians at the time. Waterfront was legendary, the big boys of the music scene in the 70s and the 80s. I had seen them live several times in Bombay, and here I was standing outside their front door in a place that probably had a population of around 50. Derek, Roger, and their families soon became my closest friends, and I ended up spending more time in their house than I did in my own. I remember the long summer evenings on the back porch of 55, A, chasing rats, as Johnny says, and B, waiting for Derek to tune his guitar, which at times could take forever, before he would mesmerize us with his virtuosity of his instrument. The dexterity and complete ease with which he played the most complex riffs never ceased to amaze me and will always be etched in my memory. To try and condense 36 years worth of memories in 2 minutes are near impossible. But suffice it to say that I shall miss him terribly and will take solace in the beautiful music that he has left behind. My love always to Maria, Danny, and all the family. Rest peacefully, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you so much, JJ. It was so nice to hear from you. And yes, that brought back vivid memories of the wonderful times that we had with you as part of our family. Thank you so much, JJ, for coming today. Next, we have an avid music lover who's been a fan of Derek since they first met at a recording studio in Pune, almost 25 years ago. I invite Sunil to come and say a few words. Please come, Sunil.
Hello.
Hi, Sunil.
Can you hear me? Yeah,
yes.
Hi, John.
Yes. We can hear you.
Yeah. I don't know, spent so much time with Derek, actually I've been a big fan of his music like everybody else. But, and also I hung out with him quite a lot. And this one time I remember we were going to Belgaum. So Derek was to play for us that evening there in a farmhouse, which belonged to a friend of mine. It was a small, very private kind of a gig. And Derek loved to play in Belgaum. It's a small city in Karnataka. And he just loved playing there, and he loved the very small audience that we had there. So we were heading to Belgaum from Pune. We were driving, and I remember this. And Derek had all his gear in my car, on the backside. And then as we hit the highway, and we had hardly done a couple of kilometers, and he just said, "Sunil, just tell me which side do you think the sun would come on?" Because we were traveling during the day, and we had to 4 or 5 hours of driving that was required. So I said, whatever, the left side or something. And he said, "Stop the car. Sunil, right now, just stop the car." I said, what happened, Derek? I mean, he said, "No, man, the equipment, it's going to get the sun. I have to move it." I said, "Yeah, okay, one second." I was looking for a service road or something, I said, "So just hold on, I need to pull up." And he was like, no, you have to stop it right now, Sunil. And I managed to find a place, and I pulled over, and he quickly got out of the car, and he pushed all the equipment to the other side, and he covered it up, and he got back into the car, and he said, "Man, that one thing, I wouldn't, he said, I mean, can't have that thing fucked up because, it's and he was like, very, so very much into this thing that that was about his professionalism. And, I was so worried about, the sound going wrong or something like that. So, and, I just remember that. And so how very this he was about his equipment, and he wanted to give a great performance that evening. He was also very concerned about that. So that one incident I remember. And also, I remember that, he had very simple tastes in food, and when he was with me in Belgaum, I would ask him, "Derek, what would you like to eat?" And he would say, like, "Sunil, something very simple, something like the Maharashtrian bhakri and pitla and stuff like that." I was like, quite stunned. I was expecting that. And he loved to cook, I didn't know about that. And he always just tell me, "Sunil, you got to taste my upma, man. I make, out of this world upma," which I could never get to taste. But he's a wonderful guy. I really miss him a lot. And I was over at his place about a month ago, and we had a nice time. And, I do miss him. And thank you for just giving me this opportunity to say a few things about it. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sunil. Yes, I do remember that Derek was very fond of simple food, and he loved especially Udupi type of food like dosas and stuff like that. Thank you so much for that sharing, Sunil. Okay, it's now time for another Guess the Song quiz. This song was composed in 1973 in Florence, Italy. The band at that time were living in a snowbound Volkswagen minibus. faced with the bleak realization that their dreams of making it in Europe had all but gone bust. And this adversity produced a thing of beauty. Let's hear the track. Over to you, Garima.
Thank you, John. For those who all you have just joined this meeting, please log on to ahslides.com from your mobile browser. Could be any browser, and type in the code CDJ and you will get in. I'll play the audio here and you all will get a few seconds to select which one is the answer. So here you go. The instructions are also on your chats.
Okay, time's up. So many people have guessed correctly. And this song was composed when one day Derek was playing his guitar. It was a bitterly cold evening, as I mentioned earlier, in a minibus in Florence, Italy. And while he was playing, at the same time, Roger was mentally going through the words of a song that he had strung together, lamenting the tribulations the band was going through. They noticed that the words fitted the music perfectly, bridge and all. This was the only song that Waterfront did that was a collaboration between members of the band. On a personal note, I still remember the solace Waterfront's music provided me during my college days, when I was perpetually broke and always hungry. Something about their music really gave me a respite for that time. It is well and truly a song for the strain. Now I'd like to call upon a young lady who has, from the time she was little, always led her life from the heart. She has a wonderful husband and two beautiful young daughters. And if you are lucky, we might get to hear one of them speak. Presenting my wonderful niece, Elaine, and her beautiful daughter, Naila. Come, Neil. Come, Lynn.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, so I just wanted to share some very fond and clear memories I have of Uncle Derek. He was almost like a second father to me, and he surprised me by reading very fond memories of my childhood he remembered, and really moved me at my wedding. And I never thought that, Uncle Derek would read such a thing. It was like a very surprising for me. Then other two things that I remember of Uncle Derek was he kept his guitars and his cars spick and span. Like even if he had the first model of the Maruti S-Team. And when my daughter was born, he gave it to me, and it was as if it was brand new. So I really missed that of him. And also, he always gave Little Flowers concerts the best recordings. So even if for us, our mind was set that, okay, if it doesn't go well, we'll go for a good or for a very good. But Uncle Derek had his priority set to, he had his priority set on excellent. So he would never give any Little Flower concert any recordings that were lower than excellent. And I really miss those memories of Uncle Derek. And yeah, I just will always remember him for those memories. And yeah, my daughter Naila would like to just recall a memory she had of him from last year.
Last year on Christmas, he wore red pants and a red shirt, and he said that he is Santa Claus, but people call me Derek, but I am actually Santa Claus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elaine and Naila. Derek. Hi, is that Tuba? Okay, thanks, Elaine and Naila. And it was wonderful hearing from you both. What a wonderful recounting of the Christmas episode by Naila. Derek was Elaine's godfather, by the way. So that's something I thought I'd mention. Now I'd like to call upon my brother Luke, who was really very close to Derek. Over to you, Luke. Want to hear really what you'd like to say.
Unmute. I used to love playing rhythm for Derek. And it was great. We had this scene in Vasant Vihar, and Arun Pathak was there competing with Derek. Derek wouldn't get into the competition. And all of a sudden, he'd be like doing this Miles Davis sort of trumpet configurations. And I'd be ecstatic, man, you know, how did we get here? And then he told me, you know, that just reminded him of the waterfront days when we could play for hours without any controls, regulations, create, and then form stuff after that. And it was like playing ecstasy for me, you know, and maybe it was a little risky for other people because it was not the kind of stuff that brings in the most bucks, but it's the kind of stuff that takes you highest. So, you know, that was great. And the DC anniversary, man, Derek's meticulous and fastidious kind of properties. So I got that. Xerxes had picked it out. I went with Paul. We got it. And I got it like all the way down to Toronto, and it went to Banff in between to visit Moose. You know, so I got out every of those frigging Grey Goose stops to check to see the guitar was there because they wouldn't let me take it in the bus. But I got it back safe and sound through London, where I picked up a Lute magazine where the same guitar was there for 200 pounds. So I managed to get it and with only 500 rupees duty. Lucky, I could tell Derek, listen, man, it's only 5,000. So I'm sorry I lost the keys. He said, okay, Luke, no problem. And then later on, I took the guitar back to London because he wanted a frets done. And he said refretting. And he was ready to pay quite a lot. But you know, the guy said it doesn't need that kind of fret job, and he did a Pumice thing. And lucky for me, Derek was okay with it. But he wanted the Floyd assembly also done, and the fine tuning screws, which the guy said only a guy like Derek will know exactly what's going on, you know, in the minute kind of decibels of a string. And he not only did that, he gave 2 free assemblies for Derek. He said, tell your brother-in-law, I love him, man. You know, he's a luthier. So, you know, that's like, you know, peace, Derek, we love you. And, you know, I have some of the music with me. God bless us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Luke. In fact, on the way back from Goa, Derek shared your relationship with him, and he was so appreciative, and it really touched me. And I realized that you all were so close, and it was the first time that actually he spoke to me of how much you meant to him and how much you've been in his life. So I'm really glad that you're here today to share something about him. Well, with this, we want to hear your thoughts one last time before this event is over. we'd like you to come up with one word. I mean, some come up with 2 or 3, it doesn't really matter, that's fine. That you feel is most appropriate when you think of Derek. Garima, I request you to guide us, please.
Yeah, sure. So like last time, they just have to, you just have to type in your words from your phone and they'll all come up here. Those who all couldn't join earlier, just go to hslides.com from your mobile browser and enter the code CDJ, enter your name and join. And we'd love to hear from you. One word you have to say. Just type from your mobile and click on submit. If it doesn't load for you, you can just reload the browser. Yeah, John, you can see the words coming up.
Yeah, so those of you can just click reload if you all need. And meantime, people are already coming in. That was very, very prompt, I must say. Gentle, genius. Petal, oh, that's nice. Helpful, love. Insanely talented, yes, I agree. A sea of calm, so beautiful. Sublime soul, a great legend. Legend, love, inspiring. Calm and peaceful, someone written. Unique, entertaining, brilliant person, beautiful spirit. Fastidious, yes, he could be quite often. But he was entertaining and he was humble, yes. A friend, that's very true. Endearingly eccentric. That's so true. Soft-spoken genius. Such kind words and very true. Sincere. Protective. Yes, he was of the people he loved and of his cats. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation. It was really nice to have you all here. I was really touched by the memories and the sharing, and very grateful for all of you who have taken the time to be here to celebrate the life of Derek Jr. Now we'll have a video from Roger, who's been with Derek for the longest time, both as a family member and a fellow musician. Garima, could you please have the video from Roger?
We stayed as close to the truth as we could, and organically bonding brotherhood. We're lenders of the chromatic hook. We give and took beyond the book. Back at the brain, where singers and songs ponder about what's right and wrong. We sometimes sat down to write a refrain about South Bombay blues and of the aging and of losing a pillar of the edifice we built. The wolf huffed and puffed, but blew the wrong way into the big pit where only one size fits. This is the end of trading emotion, yet we honor our devotion to the virtue we know, our talents like the ocean, now fight by the tears of long forgotten sorrows.
50 short years, you took us along on some magical journeys, so filled with the song of the universe. Where true love is born and rainbows dance as the sun goes down between nothingness and eternity and the tranquility of infinity. Goodbye, brother. Rest in peace.
That was a beautiful song by Roger. And so touching. And what fills me now is the sense of the many lives that Derek has touched. With his gentle humor, his steadfast passion for music, his love for people and animals. It was never overt or gaudy, but as we can see, it was enduring. It percolates in the very being of the people in whose lives he was. Thank you so much for the times you shared with us, Derek. I'm sure you're in a place of peace and beauty. And thank you, everyone, for being here today and making this time memorable. Before I sign off, let's take a group picture to capture this moment. Remember everybody to look at the camera and smile. And after that, we'll have a few words from Danny and Maria. And this is me signing off. Thanks, everyone. Over to you, Garima, for the group picture.
Thank you, John. I had written this whole speech, which maybe I'll say some of it, but I thought I'd mention, it is clear that my father touched many, many lives, and he's maybe gone, but his legacy is going to live a long, long time, and that is something that I really appreciate. So I think that this has been a really beautiful event. And the first thing I need to say is thank you so much. Hats off to Garima and to the whole of the Entrepreneur team, because they really went the extra mile to make this happen and to make this a beautiful, memorable celebration. To all the speakers, to Roger and to Milind, and of course to John for hosting beautifully. Thank you, everybody. You know, your contributions, you made this what it was, and you've really helped us to like make this. You know, your contributions were invaluable. We've had a really hard few weeks, my mom and I, but you know, through all of this, one of the great comforts has been the outpouring of love and support that we've had. People have given financial contributions. People have said prayers and messages of support. People have just been there for us in so many different ways. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. And I need you all to know that my dad appreciated it too. And to all of you who have taken the time to be here today, thank you so much. We really appreciate your presence here. And I'm sure, you know, that my dad, wherever he is, I know that he does too. Thank you.
Yeah, so we'd also like to express our gratitude to some people, and I apologize in advance if I've, inadvertently omitted anyone. So Soli and Pia Dastur for their unstinting support. Albert Dennis for things too numerous to mention. Ash Banerjee for the Waterfront Archives and also the Dubai show video. Joel Mahadik, through whose good offices Derek was able to spend his last months with us. Carol, Ben and the D'Souza family, and Norman and Ramona Braganza for giving Derek a home away from home in Goa. Patrick Jaspal and the Campion Reunion Group for their support. Naveen Patil and Sunil Mahuli for always being there for Derek. Father Roxy Fernandez of St. Francis de Sales Church for the last rites in the hospital and the funeral service. Raju Kakade and Krishna from the Sahara Care Home, Wagoli, for their invaluable assistance with the funeral. Ija and Jonathan for food and travel arrangements. The Mulls and Paul and Dawn for spiritual support. Elaine and Jakob, Johnny and Urmila and Luke for always being there for us. Anna, Roger and Arjun Dragonet for all that they are and have been to the Julians. God bless you all. Thank you.
Friend, the thief said to his chief, so how come you don't lend your ears to my beliefs? We gotta change this game or give it another name. These scenes behind my eyelids can't rationalize. Next day they awoke, wondering who spoke. Singled out the thief that night, questioning his will to fight, but he only shook his head and said, give us this day our daily bread, and I am no baker, so I split that very evening. Must have been the day after I decided to go underground, but I couldn't believe the laughter when I passed the news around. So I spiked that dinner with the serum of truth And the waiters tell me it was really uncouth. A hand on my arm, but to my relief, I was shaking hands with my old friend the thief, sharing a drink, even over the brink. Couldn't climb out again. Streets at dawn, all out for the answer. Feel successful scorn, diverted by my dancer. Now I'm older, I can bear the pain of having to go through these things again. But misuse of my life hasn't taught me much, except how to secretly use a crutch. All I can say is blow trumpets blow,